load up. And while that is going and loading, let me pull my document back out to the front. There we go. Try this again. 7:04. There goes YouTube. Welcome everybody who's here with me this evening. Sorry about that hiccup. Pause that one. Also, welcome anybody who might be watching us live on YouTube now that it's going, or anybody who's watching our YouTube later on watching the recording later. My name's Scott Weldon. I am the executive director of South Carolina NORML. We are a South Carolina chapter of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. All of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. All right, formalities taken care of. Let me go ahead and hide another screen here. I had a brief conversation with our deputy director, Kristen Mummert, a couple of weeks ago, a week or two ago. Curious if we wanted to actually continue with our monthly meetings like this. I guess I brought up the question because we've had moderate success with our weekly South Carolina cannabis conversations online. And I think we've even hit a grand total of like 8 people that have joined us the one week. Like I said, had a little bit of a hiccup in the past week or so with getting our new ones ready. We do have another one scheduled for tomorrow night, and I have not even posted a topic. So again, part of the reason why we may have limited participation is I'm not always right on top of it on getting these things posted. We do have them now out there on their website, regularly scheduled. We have created on our Facebook events one event for, it says December, which is the scheduled date for our last cannabis conversation. I just didn't want to have to create a new one every single week. Figured let people sign up to this one. We can do updates, comments on it, and it states pretty clearly that these go on every Wednesday at 7 p.m. So we'll see how that one flies. Let me hide that document here. Real quickly, I'm going to touch on a couple of some of the general items that I go over at our monthly meetings, starting with federal level legislation. As many of you are aware, the MORE Act was voted on by the House of Representatives, the U.S. House of Representatives, back in December. I want to say the 4th, something early December, and it passed the House. But that legislature is now done. New legislature will basically be active tomorrow after the inauguration. It's my understanding that even though all the representatives and senators may be certified now, at this point it's Mike Pence who would be the deciding vote in the Senate, and so at that point the Senate is still majority in the Republican control. That'll change tomorrow when Vice President is a Democrat, and now because the numbers are even as far as the senators, it's based on who does the deciding factor. So that will change when we get a Democratic president, making Democratic president, Democratic House control, Democratic Senate control. And my hope, and I believe a lot of the hope, is that right now they're currently working on a redraft of the MORE Act for this new legislature. There are where I guess a lot of concerns, I guess would be the way to phrase it, on some of the taxation language in there. And so that's being worked on. I'm not sure exactly what other specifics are being changed, modified in the MORE Act. And I've been sort of told not to really expect to hear a re-announcement or reintroduction of that bill for, oh, give me one second. Uh, for probably, yeah, I'm going to rough guess around 6 weeks or so, a month or a little more, um, until that is fine tuned. I think there was also some addendums kind of thrown in at the last minute that they're, modifying out. Anyway, so that's the MORE Act, and I need to switch one of my screens here real quick. Um, and so, with having control in both the House and the Senate, um, we're pretty sure that even with new legislators voted in, for new freshman legislators in both the House and the Senate, that we'll have a pretty good chance at moving the MORE Act through the House, get it passed in the House, and actually get an opportunity to have it heard on the Senate floor as well, um, and then go through that process. Federal priorities right now are contacting your legislators, asking them to join the Congressional Cannabis Caucus, your congressional representatives. So that would be your House member. It's the Congressional Cannabis Caucus. If you go to normal.org/act, ACT, it's right up at the top there. What I'm not seeing at the moment, but what you'll probably be seeing in the next week or two, is going to be a banking bill. Not nearly as glamorous as a descheduling bill by any means, but equally as important. So keep your eye out on the federal level banking bills coming out. And there was another one, I forget what it is. I don't know. I'm not going to even speculate because I forget exactly what it was. But there was kind of three big ones coming up federally in the next a few weeks to months or so. Um, and having all three areas, the House, the Senate, and the president to sign it, all being Democrats. It should be, uh, excuse me, should be less cumbersome, I guess is the word I'd be looking for. Um, Trying to move it all the way through than if we didn't have, if the Democrats didn't have whole control uh, on both the House and the Senate. Um, is it going to be easy? No, I still don't think it's going to be easy. I think the votes are relatively close on the House vote of the MORE Act last time in December. Um, so we'll have to keep at it. If you had joined us, uh, or excuse me, if you had seen our most recent newsletter, I was talking about lobbying and contacting your legislators, and doing it doing it once is nice, um, but it seems to have limited impact. Sometimes that limit is, the distance is from one ear to another, um, goes in one, goes out the other, and so my advice in many cases is to continue to contact them over and over and over again, almost be a little bit of a thorn in their side. Um, Send them an email, write them a letter, shoot them a postcard, um, call and leave a phone message. um, Interestingly enough, some of you may recall that we were promoting a lobby day that one of our another state marijuana organization, Cannabis Forward, was promoting. And it was going to be a virtual lobby day. Call your lobbyist in their office in the state house. And the date was for tomorrow, January 20th. They weren't thinking about that day necessarily being inauguration day. And with, after the January 6th issues up at the Congress, Now they are locking things down. I don't think there's going to actually be any legislators at the state house in many of the state houses across the country on tomorrow. They're locking them down. The legislators won't be there. I believe a lot of them are bringing in additional security. Um, and although we had heard about the postponement of this, and we haven't heard any kind of rescheduled date, um, someone else that I follow, another advocate that I follow, apparently didn't get the memo, and I saw that person post a post on their page going, "Hey, contact the state house on January 20th, and it's a virtual lobby day." And I saw on their post a comment from I think it was one of the organizers at that first organization at Cannabis Forward saying, "Oh, hey, we had to, for safety concerns and stuff, we canceled the event because nobody will be there." And the response from the advocate that had shared the post said, "Well, their voicemail's still going to be there, won't it?" I like the way this person thinks. Yeah, their voicemail is still going to be there. So you don't necessarily have to cancel a virtual lobby day if the lobbyist isn't going to be there. Would it be nice to be able to have a call, with the legislator or with one of their aides that are appointed to be in, overseeing the specific issue for them? Yes, but yeah, it can't hurt to, even if they're not going to be there, call and leave a message and reschedule that lobby day for when they will be in, then, and, make a call and see if you can actually then talk to the legislator or an aide at some other date. Um, be quite honest with you, at my age, I don't like to drive so much anymore. It's probably, I think, 3 hours for me, maybe a little less to Columbia. And I wasn't real excited about like going someplace I'm not really familiar with, and driving there and having to kind of look fresh when I get there, and wandering around a building I'm not familiar with, and knocking on doors and finding these legislators and scheduling appointments and all the things that are involved in a typical lobby day. So I've been sort of putting it off. We're dreading it for quite a while. That's why we as Low Country Normal never had an official lobby day. We would participate in any way we could with a virtual one or something, but and I've gone to like local meet and greets with local legislators, but I haven't ever traveled to Columbia for any advocacy purposes beside a meeting up there one time with just other advocates. But if nothing else, the pandemic has brought us the more acceptable, or it's more acceptable to do a virtual type of concept, and the ability for them is it's happening too. So there may even be an issue, a situation where we might be able to schedule a virtual lobby day Zoom meeting with a legislator or their aide and get some of our members together and sit and talk about our issues and things like that. So we're going to kind of look at that a little bit further in the next week or so, because as we mentioned in one of our other calls with the cannabis conversation is, and this was even before we knew the Cannabis Forward canceled their lobby call, was we were going to schedule our own as South Carolina NORML, because we cover more different topics amongst the issue, not just medical. We touch on, as I've told you all before, we all know civil asset forfeiture and decriminalization, and you know the continuing cruel consequences, as we call it, of having a marijuana arrest. So expungement's another thing we like to touch on. That is our federal. I'm kind of backtracked a little bit about state lobbying, but that's our federal kind of stuff. State level, I'm going to touch on real briefly too. And my first one wasn't as brief as I thought. I talked over 10 minutes. I went back and I checked for another call the other day on the number of bills. There had originally been, I believe, about 11 bills pre-filed at South Carolina State House. The number is now 14. There was a new one added in on a decriminalized bill by Representative Hart. I have to go back and look and see which one of the four. There's three of them are House versions. Um, which one may be carrying the most co-sponsors, and I believe it's the one that's primary sponsor is Henderson Myers, and that I believe has about 30 co-sponsors. Um, a new House version of a civil asset forfeiture bill was um, pre-filed by Pope. Um, Senator Tom Davis actually filed a bill that will call for a statewide advisory referendum. Now, if y'all remember, uh, the Democratic primary this past year and 2 years ago put the question on the primary bill. Do you believe that doctors should be allowed to prescribe or recommend marijuana? I forget the exact wording. Um, and the wording's kind of wrong because doctors can't prescribe it; they can recommend it. And I think the question was prescribe. Uh, but basically, they're asking the voters, the Democratic voters, what they thought. The Republicans didn't feel the need to put it on their ballot. They said that it wasn't important to their constituents. That's what their leadership had happened to say. Um, so what this would do is this would actually put it on a general election ballot at the state level. It carries no legislative power whatsoever. It's just an advisory, um, letting the voters have a say on whether they think medical marijuana should be legalized in South Carolina, or however they're going to word it. Um, I believe Davis did that partly because he knows the voters want it, and he's trying to, I guess, clear some of the roadblocks that have been in the way the past 4 years. This is the third time he's putting it in, and so if it goes through this full session, it's been 6 years trying to plug it away. Um, but so far we've got 4 years into it. The other bill, it was a H 3623, and I don't know a lot about it. I have a note here that just says it has something to do with early release. Um, so if anybody wants to look into that a little further, it's not necessarily something I'm on top of. Um, and I'm not holding that as a priority at the moment to look at. Um, but that's kind of what's going on state level, and then of course our local level. Nothing's really going on. We have our decrim petitions, but we're not collecting signatures. Um, we know that Myrtle Beach was proposed a decrim ordinance, and it was not like our no fine, no time, no court cost ordinance, but they um, one has been proposed by Attorney Johnny McCoy. I don't know if he had a chairperson or a board member, should I say, city council member actually sponsor it yet. If it's been sponsored, if it's gone anywhere, if it's been tabled, I've heard nothing about it. Um, I've kind of commented on a couple of things with the new sheriff in town, saying, hey, you ought to work with us here at South Carolina NORML on decriminalizing, um, uh, the Charleston County. And it's funny because I know I had at least one person, say, hey, they don't write the laws, and like, no, they don't, but they sure as hell do influence them. Um, and so it's just a comment I made. I don't know if it'll get us anywhere or not, but with that in mind, we have actually gotten a little bit of notice. Um, I was contacted yesterday, I believe it was, by WBTW, a television station in Myrtle Beach. Their reporter said they were doing like an in-depth study to do a series coming up in February about marijuana in South Carolina, and not just the medical aspects of it, but the decriminalization and the residual effects from having a medical for having a simple possession arrest. Excuse me. Asked if I could put them in touch with anybody who's had some situations that stories that they could share about residual impact on a simple possession. and what they went through. I've heard a lot of stories, especially when we're out with our booth. People tell me all kinds of different um, aspects of what happened to them when they were arrested for simple possession or whatever it may have been. In most cases, like I say, some were a seed, a stained, singed piece of paper that was left over from a joint. No pot left in it, just a little stained bit of paper, but it tested positive, and did jail time for that kind of stuff. Um, I did not maintain their contact information to be sharing it with the media. So I did post to our social media yesterday, reaching out to see if anybody was interested in sharing their story. I did get one email back. I'll have to kind of go and look at it a little bit closer. Um, couldn't tell if they actually did jail time or not from it. Um, and I wasn't real clear on the story. But hey, I'll put the reporter in touch with them, and if I get any others, I'll put them in touch and see if they can make a positive story out of it for us. Um, the other thing is uh, repetition, I guess, or consistency sometimes pays off. Kristen, I'm going to say thank you for preparing our newsletter again this month. There was an ad in there that I don't know if it's put back in. We on and off put in there about looking for board members, and I saw that it was in there as I was preparing to send out the email yesterday. And I did actually get another response, somebody that's interested in joining the board. I'm hoping that we can fit them into possibly our secretary position, which with new technologies and things like that, to me, it's a lot different than a secretary position on a board, years ago, where they may need to be keeping notes of our meetings and things like that. Now we're kind of, doing these Zoom meetings, they're recording, they're going to be saved to my hard drive as soon as we're done. Boom, we have the record that we need for, you know, maintaining our board meeting minutes and all that kind of stuff. I'm hoping more to have them help us in the line of communicating with people that email us with questions and comments and things like that, and also to help us in tracking and building our membership, and hopefully developing some more member value uh, for our members, and that kind of thing. Uh, I don't want to go too far into the person's information at the moment, because I haven't heard back from my response to them yet. We'll see how it plays out. But I guess what I'm kind of excited about is the person has, it looks like they found and run their own founded and run their own advertising and marketing agency, and have. Um, it's not a one man operation. They've got a nice small staff working with them, and cover, and they've worked in the political advocacy kind of realm before. Whether that's I don't know if that's as an agency or more on their personal level. Things to me that sound exciting, so I've kind of like say responded back to them, and hopefully I can schedule a meeting and talk to them a little bit more, and that will then round out our forward member board. And I'm excited about that. I really am. I think with all the things that are going on, both federal and state level here in the state, if we can kind of round out our board and get our, use cliches, get our ducks in a row, and this person seems to maybe able to bring in some interesting advocacy ideas that tie in with marketing and things. And if any of you ever have those kind of thoughts, concepts, or things that we can do to help spread the message and get people to help us advocate and lobby to our legislators. I'm always open to fresh ideas, especially things that work on our shoestring budget. Um, so that's kind of exciting to me. Other news. Since our last official membership meeting, we have introduced him at I know our cannabis conversation meetings, but Michael Knight. Mike, were you on our member meeting in December? I don't recall if we introduced you then. But Mike's come on as our as our treasurer. I'll let you tell everybody a little bit about yourself. But before you start, I just want to share that he's got some of our taxes caught up. I think we're caught up, to the all of our stuff that needed to be reported, and now our new reports are actually getting prepared. Seems to be relatively quickly early in the season. I don't think we have to have things filed for 2020 until April. But looks like we might have that done early. Anyway, Michael, would you take a few moments to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you bring to the board here at South Carolina Normal?
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, I was introduced in the December meeting, but just to recap what I said back then is my background is in accounting. I'm a CPA certified in South Carolina and Florida for where I moved from last August. And I've started my own accounting firm trying to market more towards the cannabis industry to help entrepreneurs in this industry understand their accounting and financial records, and want to get involved on the advocacy side. So I joined South Carolina Normal last spring, and just be glad to help the organization in any way I can and get the accounting records up to date with the government agencies.
Yes, that makes me a happy man. All right. Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate that.
Well,
Um, I happen to see on my screen here behind me, we have our little board game behind me, Dope Man, the game of substance, as it's called. That is our premium this year. We have a drawing for anybody who becomes a card carrying member of South Carolina Normal for our 2021 year. Um, you can do that by going to our website, normalsc.org, and we will drop a ticket into the hat and have a raffle after the 15th of February. So our membership drive runs through the 15th of February. Also, special premiums. I don't have it in front of me tonight. I didn't think about it. Our big 6-inch leaf that says legalize South Carolina. You'll get one of those as an additional premium with your basic membership or your sustainer membership. Also, you will get a little button that says Low Country Normal because we got brand new buttons in just before we decided to change our name and become the state level affiliate for Normal. And I am sometimes throwing in, actually, I am throwing in a couple of extra goodie stickers or buttons or mostly I think stickers into the pack. Just because, again, we have some that say Low Country Normal. And as we start to shuffle ahead, we will be needing to get new ones that say South Carolina Normal. So that is our premium. It looks like a fun game. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I got my own copy. But it's a well-made game. Talking about name change real quick, I'm going to show this is our old brochure, the Low Country Normal brochure, and the new ones. Actually, I don't think I have it in front of me. I'm going to bring one up on the screen and show you what the new ones look like. There it is. Here's the new ones. We've gone with a little bit different light, color scheme, a little bit brighter and lighter on the front. Changed, of course, our logo. I don't know if all of you recall or know, but Normal National was 50 years old in 2020. Originally founded in 1970. And so they did a rebranding mid-year with the new little, what's called a service mark here next to our name. As part of their rebranding. And also they've, I guess we're reinforcing their color selection. There is a dark green and this light gray green kind of color in the background, and black. Those are like the three colors we use. No drop shadows, no stroke around the letters. You know, that is the brand. Um, so we've modified the brochure, decided to tie in with that. Um, Updated information on the front. The front's not a lot different as far as the text here. We have updated our email address. We popped this little section here that says a voice for responsible cannabis supporters in green. It used to be also in the same color as the text, and all the text had been white. I don't know if you can see the both the share screen and my little picture here or not, but anyway, the midsection here on the outside, the get involved section, basically the same, just updated the colors of the fonts and things like that. Same thing with the normal foundation card. Real quick, if you don't have a normal foundation card in your personal belongings with your driver's license or ID, please put one there. Always have it with you in case you're ever stopped by law enforcement. Read it, study it, understand it, know your rights. Okay, that's my little sales pitch on that. The inside of our brochure has changed pretty significantly, and I think on a file name somewhere, I have it deemed as our intro brochure. Again, it's really just sort of giving a little overview of what we're doing here at Normal, South Carolina Normal. Um, and we've changed it kind of significantly on the inside. The top section, join our mission together, is the same as it had been before. The section just below that, um, the used to say low country normals area of focus, and now it talks about our goals and what we think are some of the most important aspects of reaching their goals. And that was put together as um, the four goals that we kind of believe are most important. So we've changed it to, I think we had six different things. Now we've got it down to four. This section up here in yellow talked about some revenue that was some of it was violent crime rates and it's sort of negative documentation, and we wanted to take those negative kind of information out. Um, National Transportation Research Group, State South Carolina ties first in traffic fatalities in conjunction with deteriorating roads, blah 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 blah. And I think we were trying to say there's revenue, right? Well, yeah, that's actually what that section was about. There's revenue available to the state. We've changed that section now, and we've filled that in with some of the arrest information that the ACLU had in their 2020 April 2020 report of the racial disparity in marijuana arrest with marijuana arrest throughout the nation. And South Carolina, I believe, was the second highest number of arrests, or the second. Uh, what I found interesting is when I first started working with South Carolina or with Low Country Normal, I did a little bit of research. I had a chart hanging on the wall behind me for a while, and this information right here about um, actually it's not right here. It was 2014, 15, and 16. The arrest for simple possession of marijuana in South Carolina were like around 15,000 something. I think the final year in 2016 was 15,600 888. I'm going to guess that number, but it was under 16,000. And then you look at this information, and 2 years later, in 2018, that number for possession only arrests jumped to 34,229, more than doubled in a 2 year span from 2016 to 2018. While many of the states across the nation are moving forward with medical marijuana legalization and/or full legalization for adult use, South Carolina is stepping up their arrests. And I don't know if this one goes into some of the civil asset forfeiture as much as the millions of dollars a year that are paid by the taxpayers for this ridiculous effort. Um, And then I did keep these two spaces down here on the right side for promotional purposes. One's an ad space available if somebody wants to promote their business there. We base it on a 250 brochure count, their pricing. And what we're really trying to do is get the ad to pay for the the um, the brochures. And if we get both ads, we get one kind of pays for the brochure and one becomes a donation to go towards other things. At this point, we've maintained one of those spots for our own to kind of promote the store. Um, there's that game again down there in the corner. Not only do we have one that we're giving away, but the company that produced the game, and they only produced 300 of them about a year and a half ago, um, decided just before Christmas that they were going to close out and be done with it. And so they sold out all the rest of the games remaining for $2 a game plus shipping. Um, I kind of expected it would be X dollars per shipping per game, but it wasn't. I got 30 games, 5 large boxes shipped to me, 6 large boxes, excuse me, 5 games in each box. Total shipping $15. So our total investment into 30 of these games for our website for promotional purposes is $75. Hopefully, some people will over the next year or two buy them up, and we will make a whopping, I think, $500 donation, profit for the organization. $600, somewhere in there. Not a lot, but I thought it was an opportunity for something relatively inexpensive that could make us, you know, a substantial return. Um, and all it really does at this point is taking up some space in one of my rooms. Um, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the share here. That is our new brochure. We haven't really started making any other products yet. I'm kind of waiting until we get into the year a little further, see how many new memberships we get, see what kind of funding we have to move forward with some stuff. I do know that somewhere down the road, we need to get at least one banner for our pop-up tent for our 10 by 10 because we're bound to get back out there someday. I'm not sure when. I'm hoping I still have it on our schedule for July a lot the cannabis convocation. Uh, so there's some things that we have to on a minuscule budget watch for. Otherwise, um, that's kind of what I have for an overview for our monthly kind of overview on what's going on. Not a lot of projections for future. I do want to actually, projections would be, you know, stay in touch with us on our cannabis conversation every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And especially now, help us in our efforts in lobbying our legislators now that they have just started their session back. It was the 12th, so it's been a whole week now. But as I sort of put in the newsletter, let's not let them get too comfortable in their seats and get distracted by too many other bills being filed. Let's kind of get on them now and start writing those letters and postcards and all that fun stuff. Um, Also, real quick at the end of that, we are putting together a couple of either scripts or templates to put on our political action page on our website. So if you don't know exactly what to say when you call or what to put on paper when you're writing, go ahead and plagiarize our information as much as you can. Personalize it a little if you feel you need to. Um, but let's keep after our legislators. It's both state and federal level. Um, notes. Usually on our monthly meetings, the last thing I talk about is coming events. And besides the cannabis conversation and our monthly meeting, there are no scheduled coming events. Um, we will keep you posted if we can come up with some sort of good virtual event. Besides our lobby day, that will be our next coming event. and we'll get that scheduled shortly. Our date for that, I'm going to pull it up real quick. My calendar, I believe, was February 3rd was the day we're targeting. Watch our political action page on our website. Also, watch our Facebook page. Uh, yes, Wednesday the 3rd is the day. I'm hoping we can kind of schedule ours, and we'll get our notes and our templates up there on the political action page for you before that date, and start promoting that kind of that lobby day as well. Um, I'm just gonna sit here and look silly for a moment. I don't know. Oh, silly. There we go. Look silly. Ta-da. All right. Yeah, don't have much else to talk about as far as the chapter business at the moment. Um, we will see you back here for the monthly membership meeting. It's actually a public meeting. You don't have to be a member to join us. Um, every third Tuesday of the month. We will be back on February. We're still debating how far we're going to carry the monthly meeting with the weekly meetings going on already. But for now, I think we're going to keep them going. So we'll look for us back here the third Tuesday at 7 p.m. Check our website, normalsc.org, on our coming events page for the link or for a link to the link sometimes. With security and things like that on these pages, we've been trying to hide the links a little bit. Um, but otherwise, our Wednesday nights, come see us for that. And we do regularly post to our Twitter and our Instagram pages, as well as post our meetings live to our YouTube channel. That's all I have for you tonight. Thank you for joining me. Um, I'm going to give it about 5 or 10 seconds here in case anybody has a comment and or question that they'd like to throw at me tonight. All right, I think we're good. Thank you all for joining me. We'll see you hopefully tomorrow night for the cannabis conversation. I will come up with a topic, but I think the topic's a little bit going to be about the inauguration and the just general mess of our federal government at the moment. It's going to be kind of an open-ended conversation on that, and hopefully we don't get too divisive in our conversations. We'll try and keep it tame. Anyway, thanks again. Hope to see you tomorrow.